Welcome to another 10-minute episode of Everything Sports with Aman and Evan. I'm your host, Evan Garber, and today I'm going to be talking about college basketball. Of course, we did have the March Madness finals for the women on Sunday and then for the men yesterday. But I want to talk about how college basketball seems to be dying at this point. Before we get into that, I do want to apologize for the inconsistency as of late. Both Amon and I have a lot going on in our lives. Probably will be inconsistent for the next month or so. But hopefully after that, once we do get through everything, we will be back with the episodes every single day. 10 episodes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and the longer episodes on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts on Saturday. So make sure to stay tuned for that, and we will in fact have more WNBA content coming more than likely with how much we have loved watching women's college hoops as of late, especially Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers and all those players. But definitely stay tuned for that, as we do have the draft next week, and then the season starts shortly after that. I'm not exactly sure when, but let's talk about the issue of college basketball and how it seems to be dying. I mean, this March Madness, I just really was not that into it. I mean, yeah, it definitely didn't help in my bracket. I wasn't pretty early on. I had Kentucky winning it all, and Kentucky lost in the first round, of course. But even then, like, it was hard to feel invested. Like, usually, even though my back is busted, I'm still invested. I'm still like, oh, I want to watch March Madness because I know how insane March Madness is, how fun it is to watch. But I mean, you did have the underdog stories this year. Of course, you had Oakland and Jack Golke. You had NC State and DJ Burns. You had Duquesne. You had Grand Canyon and James Madison. You had Oregon. You had some good teams get upset by those underdog teams. Of course, you had NC State's quote-unquote Cinderella run, whatever you want to call it. Made it to the Final Four, but unfortunately did lose to Purdue. But even through NC State, it didn't seem like it was as fun. Like, yeah, I was rooting for DJ Burns at NC State most of the way, but it didn't feel the same as other years when you have those really, really random schools just come out of nowhere and make a big run. It didn't feel like a little Chicago run. It didn't feel like any of that at all. And I think a large part of that is because of the women's side. On the women's side, you had a lot more hype around that. Of course, you had Caitlin Clark in Iowa. But then you also had South Carolina and Camila Cardoso. You had UConn, which Paige Beckers and Elia Edwards. You had USC with Juju Watkins. You had LSU with Angel Reese and Haley Van Lith. You had Stanford with Cameron Brink. I mean, the talent is on and on and on the women's side. And the men's side, I mean, you don't really have any big names. This draft class looks like one of the worst we've had in a while. I mean, yeah, you have some guy like Bob Dillingham at top of the draft, or toward the top of the draft, but a lot of the guys are international or G League Ignite or Overtime Elite guys. Last year, we had 5 international guys or G League Ignite or Overtime Elite in the lottery. And then this year, we do projected 5 more in the lottery, and then 8 total in the first round. 2025, we projected 4 international prospects in the lottery and 7 in the first round. And then 2026, we projected 5 international / elite and 1 in the lottery. So there's definitely a big issue of lacking the talent in college basketball in the next few years. And a lot of that is due to the international guys. A lot of the national guys are having much more hype around them than the guys in college basketball. I don't exactly remember the names this year off the top of my head, but in 2025, I mean, yes, you do have Cooper Flagg coming into the league, coming into college basketball, and he will be in the 2025 NBA draft more than likely. So he's the guy to look out for, and he'll be fun to watch. But aside from that, you don't have a lot of great talent like you do in women's basketball right now. and that's a pretty big problem if you're the NCAA, because um, a lot of your revenue does come from March Madness and around the hype from like a lot of these top prospects, like the Kate Cunninghams, like the Scotty Barnes, like the um, like the LaMelo Balls, not the LaMelo Ball, like the Anthony Edwards of the draft. All these top guys that are in college basketball and are in the March Madness tournament, but now you don't have that anymore. Now you have a lot of international guys being the top. Like last year, of course, Victor Wembanyama was top of the draft. This year, Montes Buzelis is at the top of the draft. Top of the draft. Um, Zakari Rishais, or I don't even pronounce his name, but Zakari is the top of the draft this year. So much hype from the international guys rather than the guys we see on a daily basis in college basketball. And like I said, this year this draft is not very talented. I mean, even the top of the draft, you had two Kentucky guys at the top of the draft, Rob Dillingham and I forgot the other guy, but those two guys, they're freshmen and they didn't make much noise in March Madness, and I think that definitely doesn't help at all either. Um, then next year, yeah, you had Duke, who probably gonna lose some players this year, but yeah, you get Cooper Flag, but I'm not sure if even he's gonna have a ton of hype around him. And yeah, maybe he will, but the team itself, I don't think you're gonna get a whole ton of viewership as you would usually as the past few years you would now. I mean, I believe in 2025 NBA draft there, I mean, it was Rutgers. Rutgers does have two top guys projected in 2025 NBA draft, so maybe you will see sort of I wouldn't say Cinderella run, but maybe some Cinderella run from out of them. Not a team that typically is one of the top teams, so maybe that will draw some interest from the casual fan like myself, and most guys in college basketball. So maybe from there you do have some rejuvenation from the men's side of college hoops, but right now it's just not looking great. I really just did not enjoy watching much college basketball this year. I mean, yeah, it was fun seeing the close games, but other than that, I didn't really care. I didn't watch any of the games until it was very close most of the time. Even yesterday, I didn't watch really any of the UConn versus Purdue game. I didn't really care for either team. I mean, yeah, um, it would have been cool to see Purdue win, but at the same time, I didn't really care because I don't know, for some reason I just don't feel like rooting for Purdue. And you can say with UConn, like, yeah, it would have been cool to see them go back to back, but at the same time, again, I didn't really care. I didn't really feel any ties to any of the teams, and if NC State was in it, then I might actually be interested and I might actually watch most of the game. But we just had top tier teams in it, which of course usually doesn't usually happen. But this year it did end up happening. That we do have 2 1 seeds in the finals. But congratulations to UConn. I'm not trying to downgrade it or whatever you want to say. I'm not trying to shame on UConn or anything like that. But it just wasn't really fun to watch. I mean, yeah, we were kind of knew UConn was gonna run away with it. But even for women's side, like, yeah, you knew South Carolina's probably gonna win it all. But you had the really fun players like Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins, Angel Reese, all those really fun players to watch that you thought maybe there was a chance that South Carolina could be taken down. Of course, it didn't end up that way, but you had so much talent. Like Juju Watkins right now, she is going to be amazing. She's going to be so much fun to watch for the next 2-3 years, whatever it may be. And she right now is on track to actually be better than Caitlin Clark possibly. So there's so much hype around there, and even for myself, like the Golden State Warriors, their WNBA team is going to be in the league next season, I believe. Not this upcoming season, but the following one. So I'm definitely excited for that, and hopefully we do end up getting Juju Watkins in 2026 or whatever it may be that she is going to be drafted. Definitely hoping for that, and I'm definitely hoping to catch some games, of course. Once Caitlin Clark is in the WNBA, once that team is intact, definitely want to see Caitlin Clark play live for sure. But I mean, the men's side, I really just don't have much interest at all. Like even if the Warriors were in the lottery, like even do fall in the lottery, I'm like cool. I mean, okay, sure, whatever. We get a lottery pick, woohoo. I really don't have much interest in the draft. I mean, yeah, I might get someone good, but it's not. I know more than likely it's not going to be an impact guy, and even the next few years, like it's doesn't look like there's a lot of huge impact guys like we've seen in the past. Like these past few drafts have been pretty deep. Um, this past draft, of course, with the Aman Thompson twins, you had Victor Wembanyama, you had Bilal Coulibaly, you had Trey Jackson Davis, you had Brandon Podziemski. You have a lot of good players on there. And then the previous draft, that was Paulo, I believe. Um, and that whole draft class, Franz Wagner. Um, and then the draft before that, you had, I don't know what draft before that, but 2020, I know you had Anthony Edwards, you had LaMelo Ball, you had Tyrese Halliburton, Tyrese Maxey. You had a lot of good players in these drafts, but right now it's not looking great for the NBA, not looking great for college basketball. I'm really hoping that college basketball does come back and is back to the point where we do see the Cinderella teams, but right now it's not looking great for college basketball. Looking like college basketball is kind of falling apart, especially with all the different ways that you can get to the NBA without going to college, like international, like like Overtime Elite. Um, G League Ignite did in fact uh, become dismantled, so now it's no longer a thing. So maybe that will help a lot with the college basketball scene, but even then, it's not looking great for the future. But let me know what you guys think down below. Comment down below your guys' takes on college basketball, both men's and women's.